Iron Man didn't just launch the MCU, it completely changed superhero films forever. But behind the slick suits and billion-dollar box office, there's a treasure trove of bizarre, funny, and downright unbelievable stories. Marvel came close to having a very different Iron Man and supporting cast. Tom Cruise almost played Tony Stark. In the early 2000s, when Marvel was trying to get Iron Man made, Tom Cruise was their dream Tony Stark. Cruise was intrigued, but he ultimately turned it down, saying he didn't see it working. He later admitted he wasn't a fan of the early script and didn't want to commit unless he had full creative control. Imagine an MCU where Iron Man smiled with that classic Cruise grin. Very different vibe. Marvel didn't want RDJ at first. Marvel executives were nervous about Robert Downey Jr. due to his troubled past with substance abuse and legal issues. The insurance costs to cover him on set were extremely high, which almost killed the idea. Director Jon Favreau fought hard, even calling RDJ the perfect comeback story that mirrored Tony Stark's redemption arc. Favreau later said, "It was my job to keep the studio away from the casting process because they didn't want Robert." Without Favreau pushing, RDJ may never have worn the suit. Clive Owen and Hugh Jackman were considered. At different points, Clive Owen and Hugh Jackman were floated as potential Iron Men. Jackman, already Wolverine, ultimately passed because of scheduling conflicts with the X-Men franchise. Clive Owen wasn't interested because the script wasn't strong enough yet. It's wild to think of a version of the MCU where Wolverine and Iron Man were the same actor. Nick Fury's look was based on Samuel L. Jackson. In the Ultimate Marvel comics, published in 2001, Nick Fury was redesigned to look exactly like Samuel L. Jackson. Years before the movie was cast, when Marvel decided to bring Fury into Iron Man, they went straight to Jackson and said, "This role was literally drawn for you." Jackson loved the idea and signed on immediately, making it one of the easiest casting decisions in MCU history. Terrence Howard made more money than RDJ. For the first Iron Man, Terrence Howard, Rhodey, was actually paid the most out of the entire cast, $3.5 million, compared to RDJ's initial $500,000 salary. Howard was a much bigger star at the time, having just been nominated for an Oscar for Hustle and Flow. When RDJ became the face of the MCU, Howard asked for a raise to return for Iron Man 2, but Marvel balked, leading to Don Cheadle taking over the role. Gwyneth Paltrow was cast over dinner. Jon Favreau personally pitched the role of Pepper Potts to Gwyneth Paltrow over dinner. Paltrow accepted before reading the full script, just based on Favreau's vision for the character. Fun fact, she had no idea Iron Man was a comic book character until she was officially cast. The making of Iron Man was chaotic, and a lot of what we love came from happy accidents. The script wasn't finished during filming. When cameras started rolling, there was no locked final script. Much of the dialogue was made up on the spot, with RDJ and Favreau bouncing ideas back and forth. RDJ said it felt like filming a $140 million indie movie. "I am Iron Man" was improvised. The legendary line, "I am Iron Man" at the end of the movie wasn't in the script. RDJ improvised it during filming, and the crew instantly knew it was perfect. Kevin Feige later said this one line changed the MCU forever, because it broke the superhero cliché of keeping identities secret. Jeff Bridges was frustrated. Jeff Bridges, Obadiah Stane, later admitted he hated how unstructured the production was. "We were basically making it up as we went along. It felt like we were building a plane while flying it." Despite the chaos, Bridges' villain became one of the most grounded MCU bad guys. The Iron Man suit was extremely heavy. The Mark I suit weighed about 90 pounds, and even the later, sleeker designs were tough to wear. RDJ could only stay in the suit for short bursts of filming before overheating. Eventually, Marvel switched to mostly CGI suits, especially for action scenes. The Mark I suit could barely move. The first cave-built suit was so stiff and clunky that RDJ could barely walk in it. In some shots, it's actually puppeteers moving the suit, not RDJ himself. RDJ wore lifts to appear taller. Tony Stark is 6'1" in the comics, while RDJ is about 5'8". To bridge the gap, RDJ wore hidden shoe lifts in scenes where height mattered, especially alongside taller co-stars like Chris Hemsworth. Captain America's S.H.I.E.L.D. cameo. A half-finished Captain America shield can be seen in Tony's workshop during Iron Man 1. At the time, there was no Captain America movie announced, making this a bold tease for future MCU plans. The 10 Rings foreshadow the Mandarin. The terrorist group that kidnaps Tony is called the 10 Rings, a reference to the Mandarin's comic book organization. This Easter egg pays off 13 years later in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10 Rings. Stan Lee's Hugh Hefner cameo. In his cameo, Stan Lee is mistaken by Tony for Hugh Hefner at a party. This was RDJ's idea on set, a last-minute joke that Marvel loved. Hulk connection in news broadcast. A background TV ticker references a gamma radiation incident, foreshadowing the events of The Incredible Hulk. This subtly tied the films together before audiences even knew there was a shared universe, Jarvis's comic book origins. Tony's AI assistant Jarvis is named after Howard Stark's real-world butler in the comics. The name also acts as an acronym, just a rather very intelligent system. Roxxon Corporation Easter egg. Roxxon, a shady energy company from Marvel Comics, shows up multiple times, signs in Iron Man 1, tanker ships in Iron Man 3. This company eventually becomes a recurring background villain across the MCU. Tony's cars reflect his growth. In Iron Man 1, Tony drives flashy, exotic sports cars like the Audi R8, symbolizing his arrogance. By Iron Man 3, his cars are more practical, showing Tony's personal growth and maturity. Young Peter Parker theory confirmed. A kid wearing an Iron Man mask at the Stark Expo in Iron Man 2 was confirmed by Tom Holland to be Peter Parker as a child. This retroactively deepened the connection between Tony and Peter's mentor-mentee relationship. The arc reactor would poison Tony. Tony's palladium poisoning in Iron Man 2 is actually somewhat realistic. In reality, having metal so close to vital organs would kill him much faster than the movie shows. Repulsors would burn his arms off. The repulsor blasts in Tony's palms would generate so much heat that his skin would be incinerated if the science was accurate. Building the Mark I in a cave = impossible. Real-world engineers have analyzed the cave sequence and said it would be scientifically impossible to construct a functioning exosuit with those resources. But as Yinsen says, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. HUD scenes were tennis balls. RDJ acted against floating tennis balls on sticks to simulate Jarvis's holograms. The holographic displays were all added in post-production. Flying straight up would kill Tony. In Iron Man 1, Tony tests high-altitude flight and nearly freezes. In real life, without a pressurized cabin, he'd be unconscious almost instantly from lack of oxygen. Tim Robbins almost returned. Marvel considered bringing back Tim Robbins as his government character from the Hulk to further connect the universes. The idea was dropped when Marvel shifted plans for Phase 1. Elon Musk cameo. In Iron Man 2, Elon Musk appears briefly at a restaurant chatting with Tony. This was Marvel's subtle way of linking Tony Stark's genius billionaire persona to a real-world tech mogul. Deleted scene, frozen Captain America. A deleted scene from The Incredible Hulk featured Cap's frozen body in the ice. It was cut, but it would have directly tied into Tony's later Avengers initiative. War Machine's colorful early design. Early concept art for War Machine's suit had bright red and blue colors, almost like a toy. Marvel quickly scrapped it for a sleeker, darker military look. Tony almost had no goatee. The now iconic Tony Stark facial hair wasn't locked in at first. RDJ even filmed early test footage clean-shaven. But Favreau insisted the goatee was essential for the character. First post-credit scene was a secret. The Nick Fury stinger was shot in secret to avoid leaks. Early test audiences didn't even get to see it, making it a total surprise for opening weekend viewers. Tony Stark almost played bigger role in Hulk. RDJ was originally going to mentor Bruce Banner, setting up the Avengers earlier. The idea was scrapped when Marvel decided to keep Banner's story more isolated. Iron Man saved Marvel from bankruptcy. At the time of production, Marvel Studios was deeply in debt. If Iron Man had failed, the studio would have been sold off, and there likely would be no MCU today. Paramount, not Disney, released Iron Man. Disney didn't buy Marvel until 2009. The first Iron Man was distributed by Paramount Pictures, which is why you don't see Disney's castle logo in the opening credits. Drinking scenes were censored. Tony's alcoholism storyline was controversial, especially internationally. Some countries cut or censored scenes of Tony drinking, particularly in Iron Man 2. RDJ hid snacks everywhere. RDJ famously stashed snacks around the set. Any scene where Tony is casually eating, like blueberries, was completely improvised because RDJ was just snacking between takes. Paltrow was grossed out by surgery scene. The scene where Pepper reaches into Tony's chest to swap his arc reactor was so realistically slimy that Paltrow nearly gagged. RDJ's body transformation was lighting tricks. RDJ only had a few weeks to bulk up, so for his shirtless scenes, the cinematographer used strategic lighting and camera angles to make him look more muscular. Rhodey's "Next Time Baby" became ironic. At the end of Iron Man 1, Rhodey looks at the War Machine armor and says, "Next time, baby." Ironically, Terrence Howard never returned, making this one of the most unintentionally hilarious lines in MCU history. Thor's Point Break nickname was improvised. Many of Tony's funniest insults were off-script improvisations by RDJ. His nickname for Thor, Point Break, was made up on the spot and later became a running joke in Ragnarok. And there you have it, 40 of the weirdest, most mind-blowing facts about Iron Man that you probably didn't know. From hidden comic origins to movie secrets and behind-the-scenes quirks, Tony Stark proves he's not just a genius billionaire playboy philanthropist. He's full of surprises. Which of these facts blew your mind the most? Drop your favorite in the comments below. I'd love to see which one surprised you. And if you want even more deep dives into your favorite superheroes, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and remember, the suit may be high-tech, but curiosity is the real superpower.